Hello and welcome everyone to the CIVITAS webinar on bicycle sharing. My name is Hannah Peters and I'm working at Ruprecht Consult. We manage the CIVITAS satellite project. Our webinar today features presentations from CIVITAS destinations and CIVITAS eccentric projects. You can see the agenda here. Just to let you know, this webinar will be recorded. For those who are interested in attending but are not able to be here while it's recorded live. I will briefly introduce some webinar basics and set the scene for the topic, and then I'll hand the floor to our presenters. We'll allow time for Q&A after each presentation. This webinar focuses on how 2 CIVITAS cities have taken their bike sharing schemes to another level. In CIVITAS destinations, the bike sharing scheme of Las Palmas de Gran Canaria provides an example of how EU funding has provided an opportunity for a new digital-based sustainable mobility service in the city. And in CIVITAS Eccentric, the city of Turku has developed innovative aspects of their bike sharing scheme, including the ticketing procedures, year-round functioning, and tendering. So presentations for each example will provide a glimpse of the potential of bike sharing in the different forms it can take from south to north. So just some basics before we get started. If you're calling in using your phone, you still need to enter the PIN. You can hear us either way, but the default setting is that all listeners are muted. So this PIN access provides you the opportunity to be unmuted. Otherwise, if you have a question, you won't be able to. We won't be able to hear you. Just to walk you through some of the participation tools of the webinar, the default position is muted. So as there are many people here on the line, just to avoid background noise, everyone is on mute, and you can only be unmuted by us, the organizers. That brings me to the next feature, which is raising your hand. You can let us know that you have a question or comment by raising your hand. We'll either respond by unmuting you or through a written comment to you. During the Q&A sessions, you will be invited to raise your hands to ask questions. Another way to ask questions is in the questions box, which you should all see in your panel. Feel free to ask questions throughout the presentations. We'll either answer them individually or share them with the group to answer them for everybody if they're relevant to all. And then finally, there's the poll feature. We'll be asking a few poll questions to gather your input and learn a bit about one another. So feel free to raise your hand now if you can hear me and see my screen. And if you want to test out the raise your hand feature, great, I see lots of hands going up. So then directly next, I'm going to just put everyone's hands down. Thank you. And now I'd like to jump into our poll. We'd like to know a bit about you. So can you let us know, please, where you work? And if you choose the last option, other, we'd love you to let us know in the chat box what other is. I see some answers coming in. Great. We'll wait a little bit longer. Okay. 75% voted. Okay, now I'll close the poll. Thank you very much for your vote or your responses. And I can see there are quite a few local authorities and consultancies, a few bike share providers, and then a lot of other. We'll see we'll check later what that entails. Thank you. And I'd like to do one more poll just to find out a bit about your bike sharing knowledge and experience. Let us know, does your city have a bike sharing system? We'll wait a few minutes or a minute or so for the answers to come in. Okay, any more votes? Last call. All right, I'm going to close the poll. Thank you. And as you can see, the majority of you seem to be enthusiastic bike share users. That's great. Yeah, so to move on, bicycle sharing in and of itself at this point is not an innovative concept. It's widespread with over 1,200 systems worldwide and more than 10 million bicycles in use. Docks or dockless, e-bikes, cargo bikes, the range of options is really expanding, with cities taking approaches that work best in their context. This webinar highlights examples from two contexts on how innovation can be used to tailor systems optimal for meeting local needs. The benefits of bike sharing are also well known, with proven reductions in traffic congestion and pollution, and positive impacts on mental and physical health. I also would like to briefly set the scene for those of you who are not familiar with CIVITAS. CIVITAS is a network of cities dedicated to cleaner, better transport in Europe and beyond. Since it was launched in 2002, the initiative has tested and implemented over 800 measures and urban transport solutions as part of demonstration projects in more than 80 living lab cities Europe-wide. Our presentations today are from two CIVITAS Living Lab projects, CIVITAS Destinations, which focuses on helping big island cities cope with new tourism trends and adapt their mobility systems accordingly, and CIVITAS Eccentric, which focuses on demonstrating and testing innovative, sustainable mobility in peri-central areas. This graphic shows you what cities are involved in the projects, as well as how they fit into the ongoing tapestry of CIVITAS projects. The first presentation will be from Jordi Casas at Cinesi and Cesar Garcia from Sagupta, both working on CIVITAS destinations. So I'm going to now give the floor to Jordi to present. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I'll start. Well, so hello and welcome to our presentation that is about the bike sharing scheme in Las Palmas de Gran Canaria. Thank you for taking time out and being here today. Well, I am Jordi Casas, project manager at Cinesi, mobility and transport consultancy based in Barcelona. And my colleague Cesar Garcia is the chief operations officer at Sagulpa, the public company that manages the bike sharing scheme of Las Palmas de Gran Canaria. I will make the presentation while Cesar will be attending the Q&A chat, answering your questions live. Well, today we will be looking at the following. First of all, a brief introduction to the city of Las Palmas de Gran Canaria and the main characteristics of its urban mobility system. Then the story behind the new bike sharing scheme that is called the Citicleta. The impact of the COVID-19 in our positive trends. And then a short overview of the reasons that made the Citicleta so successful, the next steps for the improvement of the system, and last but not least, the lessons learned and potential for transferability to other sites. Well, the bike sharing scheme of Las Palmas has been developed within the framework of the CIVITAS Destinations project, which aims to address mobility and tourism in an integrated way. Las Palmas de Gran Canaria is one of the 6 sites that are involved in the project. The others are Funchal in Madeira, in Portugal, Malta, Elba in Italy, Limassol in Cyprus, and Rethymno in Crete in Greece. And for those that are not familiar with Las Palmas de Gran Canaria, just let me briefly introduce the city. Las Palmas de Gran Canaria is the capital city of the island of Gran Canaria in the Canary Islands in the Atlantic. We do have a population of over 400,000 inhabitants, and our city is the best and most comprehensive city break destination in the Canary Islands. The city has a very flat area next to the seaside, but the other neighborhoods are very, very hilly. Well, that was the baseline situation before the introduction of the new bike sharing scheme, with a very, let's say, unsustainable model split, with a huge car dependency of residents, both for urban trips and interurban trips, and a very low modal share of cycling. There was a SUMP in place that was approved in 2012, and also a bike master plan that was approved but not implemented at that time. And the third issue that should also be taken into account is the impact of tourism in the overall mobility system of Las Palmas. As I said before, Las Palmas is a touristic hotspot that attracts over 400,000 visitors per year. Our peak season is between October and February, so in winter time. In those months, most of the tourists come from Scandinavian countries, Germany and UK, while during the off-peak season, that is in the summertime between March and September, the tourists are national from other regions of Spain and also from Italy. The Cicicleta is not the first attempt to implement a bike sharing scheme in Las Palmas de Gran Canaria. The former one, that was called By Bike, was a well-meaning attempt to foster urban cycling, but it was not as successful as expected due to some obstacles and barriers, some technical problems, a huge vandalism rate. Also, the system was not enough aligned with the overall mobility policy of the city, not sharing the common goals and vision, and also, which is very important, financial problems, because it had too much dependency on public funds. The municipality was paying the whole system, and the system was free of charge for the users. Now, the story behind the success of the Cicicleta. In 2016, the municipality and Sagulpa started to define a new cycling strategy for the city. The first issue was to identify why the former bike sharing scheme had not been successful at all. And based on the identification of these obstacles and barriers, they started to define this new strategy, trying to answer the questions that appear on screen. So, taking into account the overall vision, goals and objectives of the mobility policy in the city, the needs and requirements of different target groups, trying to identify which effective packages of measures should be implemented in order to boost urban cycling. Also, which departments within the municipality should be involved in the project. And also looking for best practices at the European level that could inspire them in defining this new cycling strategy. Then in 2017, Sagulpa started to design the new system, drafting the technical specifications and service requirements, as well as carrying out the feasibility study of the new system. The issue is that both the municipality and Sagulpa identified that a new bike sharing scheme based on digital based would be an opportunity to, on the one hand, to boost multimodality in the city, and on the other hand, to improve mobility management of the whole mobility system in the city. And since 2 years ago, the system is fully, I skipped that one. Then the tender process was awarded on January 2017 to Nextbike, a German bike sharing provider. Then there was a negotiation phase that was an opportunity to agree and clarify some issues. And the kickoff of the system was on April 2018 with a smooth and progressive deployment of the system in the city. With 375 smart bikes, 20 e-bikes, 42 new stations, and 520 bike racks. Now, since 2 years ago, the system is fully operative. These are some figures of the system. Most of the rentals are made with a membership. There are over 40,000 users, and almost 45% of them are active users. Almost 90% of the users use the Cicicleta app, the application. The average travel time is 23 minutes, and there is a huge acceptance amongst tourists. As you can see in this figure, there have been a positive trend in terms of registered users and active users. However, the gap between registered users and active users has also increased a lot, and that's a challenge for the coming months. The average daily users is 900 on working days. The average rentals per bike ratio is 3.5 on working days and 2.1 on weekends. In 2019, the total distance ridden was over 1 million kilometers, and that meant 192 tons of CO2 avoided. As you can see on screen in this figure, there was a very positive increase in the use of the Cicicleta in the second touristic peak season, where the system was fully operative. And most of the users pay an annual fee, and almost everyone pays at least an annual, weekly, or monthly fee. Well, these very, very positive trends were interrupted due to the COVID-19 outbreak. So I'm going to explain very briefly the impact of the coronavirus in our system. As you probably know, due to the outbreak, the Spanish government declared a lockdown that started in March. However, the Cicicleta was one of the very few bike sharing schemes that remained operative, but the demand of the service was reduced a lot. But as we are progressively coming back to normal, to the new, let's say, new normality, the demand is continuously growing and has reached 70% of the pre-COVID-19 demand. Well, as I said before, the Cicicleta has been a very successful sharing system, and it is helping to change behavioral change in the city of Las Palmas de Gran Canaria. So we tried to summarize and to make a list of the reasons why the Cicicleta has been so successful. The first one is because the system is based in high quality equipment. Both the bicycles and the stations are resistant, anti-theft, and safe. The second reason is that it is a digital-based service that makes much more easy to manage the system, and that allows a continuous improvement of the operations. For instance, the optimization of the rebalancing operations. The third reason is that it is an integrated system in many ways. Firstly, because the system is very well integrated in the overall urban space. The stations enhance the attractiveness of the public space. Secondly, because it shares it is integrated with the overall vision of the city in terms of sustainable mobility. The bike sharing scheme has been implemented in parallel with an enlargement and improvement of the cycling network. And thirdly, it is also integrated with the contactless card that can be used in the urban bus network. The fourth success factor is the business model of the system. The Cicicleta is a very flexible system with very flexible fares, where non-registered users can ride a bike, and fares are adapted to a wide range of target groups. And because Sagulpa is continuously looking for new revenue streams, such as sponsorships from private companies. And last but not least, the communication strategy. Sagulpa is continuously carrying out communication campaigns and activities, most of them oriented to tourists. Now, the next steps for the improvement of the system in the coming years. The first one is the enlargement of the bike sharing scheme, with 5 new stations in the southern part of the city, and as well as the increase of the electric part of the system, with 5 new stations in the hilly neighborhoods, and also an increase of the number of e-bikes in the system. A new app to replace the Next Bike app that will allow a better management and control of the sharing system. And also to look for new revenue streams to continue these sponsorships from private companies, and also the monetization of user data. To do that, Sagulpa is developing a big data tool to use data analytics in order to identify and design new services that can be sold to other customers or to other businesses. And the last part of our presentation is focused on the lessons that we have learned during these years, and the potential for transferability to other sites. Regarding the lessons learned, well, it is important to consider and to take into account the specific needs of all target groups, especially those that are more vulnerable. The business model of bike sharing providers such Nextbike should be adapted to the city needs and requirements, not the other way around. it is also important to engage the key local stakeholders since the beginning of the project. And the bike sharing scheme should take into account the shape, the urban structure of the city. And regarding the transferability to other sites, well, the EU funding is an opportunity to overcome some capital cost. It is important to set realistic milestones and goals. For instance, in Las Palmas, we went for a progressive deployment of the systems. Not stations were implemented at once. At first stage, we were focused on the flat areas of the city because they are easy to control. In the second stage, we made a pilot in a hilly area of the city with e-bikes. And now we are planning, and we will do the enlargement of the system to the whole city by increasing the number of stations and the electric part of the scheme. Then it is also important to build a trust relationship with your system provider, to continuously carry on communication activities, social media, and so on, and to foster collaboration with other cities in order to share common problems, knowledge, solutions with other cities that are experiencing the same challenges as you are. Now I would like to share with you a short video that Sagulpa produced for the second birthday anniversary of Cicicleta. Maybe Hannah, you can. Well, and that's all from our side. I hope that it has been interesting for all of you, and please do not hesitate to ask any further question in the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordi. I think Cesar has been answering questions continuously during the presentation, and we are a bit pressed for time, but there have been a few questions coming in, so maybe we can answer one or two of them now, and then save the rest for the end after Katarina's presentation, and then we can have a general Q&A. One question that came in well, I see actually Cesar has answered all of them. I don't know if those answers are visible to the whole audience. Are there any, first before I read from the questions, are there any further questions. Would anyone like to raise their hand in the audience? Ah, yes, okay, I see a question from Nathaniel. I'm going to unmute you, Nathaniel, so that you can ask your question.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi guys, I'm from Singapore. So basically, bike sharing here has been quite a disaster actually. So I'm really interested to know whether City Cleta was successful in mitigating factors of vandalism. And it's not just vandalism actually, because when you have users, using your bike, they can park it anywhere else. And for our case here, they just leave it, they just leave it anywhere. So it's really a matter of being socially responsible.
At least for me, it cut out a bit just now, so I didn't hear your question.
Oh, it cut out a bit. Oh, no wonder Jordi seems confused. Okay, so basically it's about the vandalism. So yeah, I noted during the presentation, Jordi mentioned that their previous bike sharing program wasn't that much of a success, and they listed vandalism as one of the factors for it failing. So I would like to know whether City Cleta has mitigated this vandalism part. And yeah, just to share my country's case is that we had bike sharing systems here as well, but users are kind of abusive with the bicycles, so they leave it everywhere. They throw it in the drain and all that, so it's really nasty. So I'm curious whether they solve this or not. Jordi, I think you're on mute.
It should work now.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, yeah, the vandalism rate of the City Cleta is almost zero because the system, the technology that that the system is based on doesn't allow this kind of vandalism, because all bicycles have an anti-theft system in the front fork, and also all of them are equipped with an GPS device that allows continuous tracking of the location of the bicycles. So up to now, that there is no vandalism at all.
So is this why the City Cleta was successful as compared to your previous program, because of this GPS tracking? It is?
It is one of the main reasons, because that way you can ensure to the users that the bicycles and the system is always fully operative, and that there are no issues that can put the service in risk.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. I think in the interest of time, we'll have to save the other questions until the end. I see that there are more questions in the chat as well, which I think Cesar will address, but we can also hopefully raise our hands again toward the end of the webinar for the rest of the questions. For now, I would like to move on to our second presentation from Katarina Salo-Canal, from the city of Turku, representing the CIVITAS Eccentric project. I will now give the presentation rights to you.
Yeah, now it should be working. Hello everyone, my name is Katarina Salo-Canal and I come from Turku. I will tell you about innovative elements of bicycle sharing system here in Turku. Yes, here you can see a map of Turku city center. We are located in the really southern part of Finland. You can see two circles here. Another one, the first one is 15 minutes circle and another one is 30 minutes circle. And 90% of citizens has less than 30 minutes to Market Square by bicycle. So the city is really good for cycling. Almost 1/4 of citizens cycle year-round. Our bicycle sharing system was launched 1st of May 2018, so it has been running for more than 2 years now. We have 300 bikes, and the system is station-based. We have 39 stations and 2 pop-up stations. With pop-up stations, we try different locations. Our system is functioning year-round, so through winter and summer. For the winter, we change winter tires for the bikes. In City Bike's first year, we were awarded as one of Finland's best cycling actions due to year-round bicycle sharing system. It's the first one in Finland. They say that Turku's encouraging example is sure to be rolled out to other cities as well, and we really hope that. It's a Turku city center here. We are quite center-based. Number 39 there in the top right corner is located a little bit outside the town, and also number 35. But yeah, you can see the stations here. We would really like to enlarge, but at the moment it hasn't been possible. Shortly about pricing, we just updated our prices. So now we have single ride option and month option. Single ride is €2 per use, and it's 30 minutes. And month is €6, and it's valid for 30 days. So it works like Netflix or Spotify or other subscriptions. It also contains multiple, well, as many times as you like, you can use it like 30 minutes at once. And if you use bikes more than 30 minutes, you have to pay a small additional fee. And you can, of course, change the bike after half an hour, and it will start again. So how we have procured our bikes? It consists of 4 parts. We tendered the bikes separately. We have next bikes as well. We also tendered marketing. So we are selling, well, not actually we, but Clear Channel and Laulava Ovipumppu are selling our marketing space in the bikes. So here you can see vikingline.fi. It's our biggest sponsor. Föli, which is Turku Region Traffic or Public Transportation Service, is taking care of our customer service, and Föli is also providing us with free passes for bikes if you have a pass for buses, like a month pass or other season pass, you can use the bikes for free. So here you can see we have next bike, we have Clear Channel, we have Laulava Ovipumppu, and also Föli. Registration goes through website of public transport of Turku region, Föli. And they're also taking care of our customer service, as I told you. Bikes can also be rented with Föli card, even though you don't have the season pass for the buses. But as I told you, Föli season card holders can use the bikes for free. Here you can see special features of our bikes. We have our own brand, Föli Fillarit. It's a part of Föli's other products as well. Our bicycle sharing system is integrated in the public transportation tickets. The system is functioning year-round. We have digital environment. It's opas.io. You can check that if you like, but it's only in Finnish, unfortunately. We have GPS tracking in the bikes. companies can buy stations. So if your company wants to have their own station, they can buy it. We get income through marketing to support the system. We have possibility to add other types of bikes to the system. In the beginning of July, we will get some electric bikes to the system, but if you like, you could add boats or any kind of vehicles. And we also have our own ticket product for schools and for teachers, so they can take multiple bikes at once and go with the whole class. We wanted to have the bicycle sharing system year-round because we like to think that it's or it must be an equal mode of transport here in Finland as well. There are also health and environmental reasons. We want to have Turku car-free. System has been running for 2 winters now. 2018, 2019 was the first, and we had averaged 300 trips per day. This photo is from that winter. We had a lot of snow, a lot. And last winter, 1920, the average was a little bit higher, but the winter was really mild comparing to the other previous one. But I like to think those are really good numbers. It's one ride per bike per day, so it's nice. We of course had some challenges because it was really cold and we had a lot of snow. Gears and batteries are not as efficient during winter as they are during summer. Gears are freezing and batteries, they just don't last that long. We also have had some issues with winter maintenance because there's no place for all that snow, but that's obvious. We also like to think that winter year-round system sets requirements for better cycling conditions for year-round. Winter maintenance must also be as good as it could be during winter as well. Here are the trips per month for our first year. We started in May, so this is from May 28. Here you can see some photos from last winter, not last, the previous one. So 2018 and 2019. So we really had a lot of snow. This is not typical here in southern Finland. We usually have snow, but not this much. But yeah, this was our first winter, and winter maintenance wasn't used to our bikes yet. So it's not always fun. But if you have right tools, it gets easier. So our maintenance group is really good. They are really efficient and they know what they do. And they say that during winter time, even though the bikes are not moving that much, they have to move more. So big thank you for them. I told you that we have our own brand. It's Fölifillarit. It's really strong, and look is really easy to recognize. It goes well along with Föli's look. The main color is yellow, and we also have white and brown, gray with it. Yeah. And here you can see our famous Santa Claus. We have been reaching our customers through Turku's channels, and we do a cooperation with local media. We are also in tight cooperation with Föli, even though bikes are they are a part of CIVITAS Eccentric project for now, but the project is ending and the bikes will be the actual part of Föli later on. Our webpage is www.föli.fi/kaupunkipyörät or city bikes. You can also easily Google that, but you can check out. And students are our biggest target group, and they use the bikes a lot. Also, they are important for commuters and travelers, and also those season card holders. So yeah, Ferrybike is a smart ride. If you have anything to ask or just anything, you can contact me. You can find my email address there in the bottom. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Katarina. Very interesting presentation, and to learn a bit more about Fulle, and interesting to see how the initial usage figures are. I see a few questions have come in the chat. Would anyone like to raise their hand to ask a question? If so, please feel free. In the meantime, I'd like to just read a few of the questions from the chat. One was, when it comes to attracting foreign customers, do you use a different approach to persuade them to use your product?
Not really. I think if I understand the question correct, every customer must register through our website. And the service is mainly for local people, of course. Travelers can use it as well. But we have our registration and website in 3 languages: Finnish, Swedish, and English. So it's for everyone, but mostly for citizens.
Right. And another question was what the average distance is between bike stations.
It's 100 to 300 meters, mostly.
Yeah.
But in some points they are.
One thing I found interesting was
close.
Okay, yeah. One thing you mentioned was that it's year-round. The system can be used year-round, and I was wondering, are there other systems in Finland where that's not the case, and they're only operational in the summer, for example, or?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. For now, we have been the first and so far the only one, if I remember correctly.
All
There
right.
have been lots of debating about the winter, especially in Helsinki, which is the biggest city here in Finland. They would like to have winter, but of course it's more costs. And as you saw, there are things and issues that you have to think during winter.
Mm-hmm. Another question has just come in. It's fully contracted smart bike by a public contest. What was the average bike and station cost? I guess this is an acquisition question.
I don't know about the prices, but
okay.
You can email me if you want to have more details. I can ask our project manager if she likes to answer.
Mm-hmm. And another question is, have you considered using e-scooters to accompany the bike products?
Here are 2 operators in Turku that provide e-scooters. There also have been lots of discussions about that, but for now we are not taking them as a part in Föli, because more market in general is bringing them here.
All right.
And there are also a lot of different discussions about those. Yeah, it's not very easy.
All right. And another question has come, which is how long is the contract for, and what happens at the end of the contract?
Actually, the contract is only 3 years, so it has been 2 years now. So it's our last year of this contract, and we have option for 3 years, and we haven't decided yet if we want to continue.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a political decision.
All right.
So we don't know yet.
Okay, I see more questions are still coming in. I'd also like to open up the floor for questions for Jordi's presentation, since we didn't allow us much time for that. But now that we're through both presentations, if people could raise their hand, or if you type a question, let us know who it's to. Otherwise, I'll assume it's to both. That would be great. I'll just check. I see a few hands are going up. One moment, and I'll unmute you. So, Susanna, you can go ahead.
Hi, it's Suzanne from University of Malta in Malta. Hello, Jordi. And also hello, Katarina. Thank you both for your presentations. I was wondering if your cities, like many other cities around Europe and around the world, have plans to develop more cycling infrastructure as a result of the COVID-19 crisis, because we've seen in lots of cities that there has been sort of a fast tracking of new infrastructure. And I was wondering if that's happening in your cities and what you think might be the effect now that there is a sort of recovery mode. Thanks.
Katarina, if you want to go first.
I don't actually know if we are adding bicycle infrastructure due to COVID-19, but in general, we are improving the network all the time. But I haven't seen any discussions due to this case.
Well, regarding Las Palmas de Gran Canaria, the idea is to continue to implement the bike master plan. So it's not a real enlargement of the infrastructure due to COVID-19. It's only implementing what was planned before.
Thank you. Check if any other hands are going up. In the meantime, one question was about what trips are being replaced by the bike sharing systems.
I'm mostly walking here in Turku, unfortunately, and also private bike trips.
Okay, so in the winter when the numbers are lower, it's likely that those people are walking or traveling less or using another mode. I
can't say, but I think they are not moving that much in general.
Okay. Hibernating a bit in the winter. Yeah, Jordi, please, we'd love your answer as well.
We are trying to identify if we are really succeeding in making a model shift from car to cycling. There is a household mobility survey that is gonna take place, I don't know, maybe in September, October, when the new normality will be, let's say, stable. And with the results of this survey, we will have a clear overview of the impact of the bike sharing scheme in terms of modal share.
All right. And Jordi, we have a follow-up question from Nathaniel saying, I see that Cicicleta intends to venture out of the free-floating model, and this goes back to the question on vandalism. Is it ready to tackle a problem where it might be more difficult to regulate users?
Well, up to now, as I explained in my presentation, we tried not to do everything at the same time, and moving from a dock-based, station-based sharing system to dockless is still something that is under discussion. We will for sure do that, but the main concern is not vandalism, is the rebalancing of bicycles and the potential increase of costs that could be linked to this change.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. All right. We have a few thank yous from people in the chat as well, so I'll pass those along. Thank you both for your presentations. And since we're coming to the end of the hour, I'd like to now just give a few parting words. So I will just open up my screen again. where you can see now the CIVITAS information for those of you who would like to learn more. Thank you again for joining us today. This webinar recording will be available online on the CIVITAS website, which is also your source for further information on destinations and the Eccentric projects, as well as tools, learning materials, and case studies related to the topic of bike sharing. We really appreciate your interest, so thank you for joining us and thank you for your time. Wishing you a pleasant afternoon. Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you, bye.